Today I thought I'd do a video on why it's important to be level-headed, to be a good communicator, to be able to keep your cool in difficult situations. So you could say to be stoic in the way that you interact with and talk with people, especially in situations where it's high stress, high pressure, maybe you're intoxicated, all those situations where you really have a lot to risk. There's a lot on the line. It's really important that you are able to be a cool cucumber. You're able to maintain your composure. You're able to speak eloquently. And that's a really, really useful skill. I'm John from BulldogMindset.com. On this channel, I teach you how to be a man today, how to build up your wealth, how to get the physique you want, and how to get those girls that you want as well. Click that subscribe button and become a bulldog, and click the bell so you get notifications, because YouTube doesn't show all my videos, and you don't want to miss the ones that you're only going to see when you click that notification bell. Prison escapee convinces cops he's actually a jogger. You can check it out on your own, but it's really interesting. You can see that this guy here is actually he's a prison escapee, right? He's a convict that actually escaped from prison. And during this whole video, he's telling this story. You know, by the way, it's 113 degrees Fahrenheit, hot, right? Okay, but he's telling this story to this cop about how he's just going for a jog and he's a roofer and all this stuff. Okay. Well, this cop is looking for someone who fits his exact description. He doesn't have any identification on him, okay? But he's sitting here for this long period of time. I don't know how long it is, probably what is this whole interaction takes place in like 9 minutes or so. Talking to this cop, keeping his composure, being level-headed, being very cool-headed, and he actually convinces the cop to leave and that he's not the convict, doesn't take him in for questioning, doesn't even confirm his identity or anything like that. So let's talk about this a little bit. And I've actually had a lot of experiences like this. I'm not a person that drinks a lot, okay? But if I go out and drink, I do drink a lot when I go out and drink, which is fairly rare on occasion, okay? But one of the things that you'll notice about me, even when I am pretty much shit-faced drunk, is that I will always have my composure. I will be able to, if someone needs to talk to the bouncer or the manager, you want me, okay? Because I'm going to go up and they're not even going to know I'm drunk. They're going to maybe, be able to see it in my eyes. But from the way that I talk and what I say, they're not going to have an idea, okay? Because I'm going to speak eloquently, because I'm going to keep my composure. Now, I realize that this is not something that you may think is a trainable skill. You might say, well, some people get shit-faced drunk and they just get angry and they get violent and they act crazy and they black out and shit. I understand that to some degree, but what I have trained myself to do is to be calm and rational in other situations in life, right? Even when people are losing their shit, when they're losing their cool. And because of that training, because I'm focusing on doing that, it cross-applies even when I'm drunk. The more that you practice something in normal conditions, the more likely that you're going to perform in abnormal conditions, right? And that's the whole purpose of doing things that actually prepare you, right? I just saw a quote that says, if you want war, or if you want peace, prepare for war. I think Jocko Willing put it on his Instagram today, okay? And it's such a true statement, is that if you want peace, you need to prepare for war. If you develop people skills, right? If you develop what I call the stoic philosophy, or rather the stoic mindset, the bulldog mindset, and you're able to control your temper, and you're able to speak eloquently even when you're under pressure, okay? If you're able to communicate effectively and take your time when you're speaking and show people the proper respect, okay, and to act in a way that is not all butthurt about things that are happening, especially when people are being dicks to you, right? There's a lot of situations that you're going to encounter in life where you're going to be dealing with an authority, and you might not like that authority, and that authority may not really be an authority that you respect, but it's an authority that you need to show respect to in a given context, right? It's really important to understand the dynamics of power, okay? And that's what's going to help you to be able to communicate effectively, to be able to recognize situations where you do not or you do have power. There was an instance where I had, I was out with a couple of friends, and there was one person that was with us that was just acting like a fucking fool, all right? Just crazy, and We were trying to get into a bar or something, and what ended up happening was that this person didn't want to pay the cover, okay, and they wanted to try and like sneak in, and they were just like being belligerent, and they weren't even really smooth talking. They were trying to come up with a story, and they tried one entrance, and then they got rejected, and then they tried another entrance, and I was kind of standing back and kind of watching this happen. But I was trying to disarm the situation where I could. But eventually, the manager of the place comes out, and he says, "You know what? None of you guys are getting in here tonight. None of you, right?" I was with like 3 people, all right, and I don't care what you say. I don't care what you do. That's it. You try to get in this entrance. You try to get in that one. You're doing all this kind of shit. All 3 of you, you might as well just go home because you're done, right? So what actually ended up happening was I waited. I went and I talked to my friends and I said, do not come near me for the next 5 to 10 minutes when I'm talking to the manager. Just stay away, okay? No offense. I know what you're trying to do, but it's just not working. Let me go and talk to him. So I went, found the guy, and I said, look, sir, let me tell you, I know that you hear a lot of stories. I know that you hear a lot of things. And I'm going to just tell you just straight up, whatever you decide, if you're willing to be kind enough to listen to me, whatever you decide at the end, you're the authority. You're the man. You control who goes in and out of here. I totally understand and respect that. I'm not going to argue with you. But if you would give me just a few minutes to explain my situation and what has happened tonight, I would just greatly appreciate it. And like I said, at the end, you're the boss. Whatever you say goes. And then I went and I told him the story, and I told him what happened, and I told him honestly, what was going on. And it's a long story. I'm not going to get into the story and the situation. When I finished talking to him, he said, "You know what?" He said, "I appreciate that you're such a reasonable person, and that you communicated effectively, and I'm going to go ahead and let you in. And you know what? I'm going to let one of your friends in. I'm not going to let the crazy guy in, but I will let your other friend in. So, thank you." And that was it. And I was able to get in. And it was, this was a situation where it didn't look like that was going to happen at all. All right. But it was the way in which I approached it, right? It's the way in which I spoke to him. There was an injustice being done to me, right? I mean, he was not being fair. What the situation that happened, it was not fair. It was not fair to group me with the person, to throw me out, to treat me that way. I had a perfectly legitimate story and legitimate reason for being there, but that doesn't matter, right? Because in that situation, he is the authority. He has the power. I don't have any power in there. I don't have any power in that bar. What am I going to say? Oh, this isn't fair. Oh, you can't act like this. Oh, you can't treat me like this. I could say that, right? And I would be potentially justified in being angry and upset for the way that, again, I'm not going to go into the whole story, but some fucked up stuff did happen, all right? I could be upset about that, but what I wanted to do was to get in there, okay? I don't need to show power. I don't need to have a power struggle. All I need to do is accomplish my goal, and that's where it makes a lot of sense to be able to calm down, to be able to rationalize, to be able to explain things, and you think about this, a lot of situations. What are you going to do in a situation where a cop is talking to you when you're not even guilty, right? I mean, this guy is an escaped convict, okay? What are you going to do in that kind of situation, right? Are you going to freeze up? Are you going to argue back? Are you going to be nervous? Are you going to try to make excuses? Or are you going to be level-headed and communicate clearly that you're a person who is reliable, who isn't talking nonsense, who isn't trying to backpedal and isn't trying to talk their way out of a situation, but is actually legitimately what you're representing? Now, this guy's obviously, pretty good at conning in this situation, but it doesn't change the fact that this skill set is a very, very important one. There's so many stories I could give you from my own life of where me being the calm and composed person and being able to rationalize with people has helped me, right? There are situations, another similar situation that happened where I was walking into a place and I saw the bouncer ahead of time that there was a guy giving him a hard time, a drunk guy that was hassling him and yelling at him and, complaining and just being an overall dick. And I remember walking into the place and, before, when I got up to the bouncer, I remember talking to him and saying, "Hey man, like, I see that you're having kind of a tough night, like, but I appreciate, the job you're doing. You must see a lot of kind of crazy shit here and have to deal with it. So yeah, I get it, right? And he was just shocked. He was like, wow. He was like, yeah. I was like, and I told him, I said, you know what, you don't have to worry about us. Like, we're not gonna give you any kind of trouble. We're just gonna, just very chill people, and we're just here to have a good time, and you don't have to worry about that kind of stuff with us. And he was like very appreciative of it. But I felt like I needed to do that, just because I saw that happening, right? And then what ended up happening later on, actually, there was a cover for that place, and it was a pretty large cover, and we were supposed to meet some other friends there. And what ended up happening was those other friends didn't show up. They went to a different location, and we'd already paid the cover, me and another buddy that went there. And so this was, it happened like, in 5 minutes. We circled, we couldn't find them. We realized what had happened. And, we went up back to the window, and I said, well, hey, you just saw us. We just came in here. We were supposed to meet some friends here. Is it possible to get a refund on the cover? And they said, no, we've never given a refund on the cover, and never. We just don't do that. I was like, well, you did see us, just 5 minutes ago, right? And so the lady at the ticket window said, yeah, I did. But, the guy standing outside, the doorman outside, he's the guy that kind of calls the shots here. I've never, ever seen him give a refund, and we've heard some stories. So, but you're welcome to give it a try. So, situation ended up being that I went back outside and talked to the doorman, and of course he remembered me. I said, yeah. I said, I just came here 5 minutes ago. And yeah. He's like, yeah, I saw you. Yeah. What's up? Well, how can I help you, man? Right? And he was very friendly to me. Okay. He was, just after he had just gotten into these confrontations with these and I saw other people come through there, and, he wasn't very friendly to them. Right. But he was friendly to me because I'd come up and had, understood his situation. I empathized with him. And so I told him, I said, look, I hate to, I told you I wasn't going to be any trouble, and now I'm being trouble, but, I'm not intentionally doing it, but, again, I told him, I said, you're the man, right? Like, I understand that, whatever you say is go. I'm not going to argue with you, but, this is what happened is we were supposed to meet some friends here, and, they weren't here. We had confusion in the place. I should have checked before I paid the cover, so it was my fault. But, we paid the cover, and it is kind of an expensive cover. So, we're going to go to the place where we're supposed to meet our friends. We only just came in here for like, 2 minutes, literally. And he was like, you know what? You don't need to say anymore. He said, I'm gonna see what I can do. I'm gonna call my manager, and like I said, we don't ever give refunds here, but I'm gonna see if we can make this happen. I'm gonna fight for you. And it was amazing. He called his manager. His manager came over and said, yeah, these guys are cool. And he explained the situation. And the cashier didn't even know how to actually do a refund, because she had never done a refund in the whole time that she was working there for like 10 years. So again, I'm not saying this as a story to brag. Okay. I'm saying this because it's so critical to develop these skills. In that situation, right? I could have gotten mad. I could have said, what do you mean you're not giving me a refund? I just fucking walked in here for 5 minutes. Okay, I'm never coming back here. I'm never recommending any of my friends come back here, right? You guys are dicks. Like, are you serious? You're going to charge me this money and not give me a refund after I've only been here for 5 minutes? No, instead, I stayed level-headed. I talked to the guy. I'd already talked to him before and had set that up because I wanted to, come across. I thought, in fact, when I saw him, when I walked in, is I said to my friend, I said, look, this is the guy that we don't want to fuck with, because I'm watching this interaction happen and people are giving him shit. And I'm like, if you end up fucking with this guy tonight, okay, he's going to shut you down. He's going to be an asshole because he's been dealing with assholes all night. So that's why I had gone up to him and basically, made friends with him from the beginning and empathized with the situation. And, I didn't do it because I was expecting it to pay off, but it did pay off, right? It ended up being very beneficial to me. And it's, it's something that is extremely, extremely valuable. So, yeah, again, I didn't know exactly what, how to convey this in this video, because it's not really, I don't know, there's not, we could call it being diplomatic. I've already done some videos on being diplomatic, but really what it is it's being level-headed and keeping your composure in difficult situations and being empathetic to people, right? This is, maybe you could really classify this under the umbrella of people skills, of developing people skills, but that's what the kind of results that you can get when you do that. And maybe I should focus and break down on some of these specific skills. But in general, this is the ability to show empathy to people, right? And, in both of those situations, in many situations where I've been able to, quote, smooth talk my way out of things, it's always been by showing empathy, right? First, to see what that person's situation is, right? You go back to the first situation, you've got the manager of that club or bar, and he's got, a crazy person that's been yelling and giving his staff a hard time. And if I am just arguing just like the crazy person, even if I'm a little bit more rational, it doesn't help him, right? His situation, I have to empathize with it first and understand, like, hey, look, I know what's going on. I see that, that you've dealt with the situation. I see that this looks bad, right? That's a really critical thing. And then also, deferring to them, right? The biggest thing when you think about it, right? Why would this person not give me a refund? Why would this manager want to not allow me into to the location? Mostly because it's going to set a bad example, and it's going to tell people that they can argue with them and get their way. Okay, it's going to undermine their authority. But if I know this, if I know that their authority is a really important thing in their job, then I can do it from the beginning. I can say, look, you're the boss, you're the man, you're the big hoss, right? Whatever you say at the end of the day is going to go. I'm just going to give you my situation. You're the fair judge. You tell me, you're the big shot, okay? You tell me how you want to play it. I'm not going to argue with you. That makes it so that it's not an undermining of their authority. That gives them room to actually do what I want, where they can be magnanimous instead of being weak, right? And that's maybe a totally different lesson here, is to give people the opportunity to be magnanimous rather than weak. So many people, they try to win arguments, they try to win these kind of confrontations or conflicts, right? Or have these type of negotiations where the only thing that they're leaving on the table for the other person is that they're weak, right? You have to be giving them a way out, a way to save face, so that if they actually do what you want, that they're going to appear magnanimous. They're going to appear as someone who is showing mercy, perhaps, right? Some kind of good quality that you're giving them the ability to demonstrate, and having a faith in them of having that quality ahead of time, right? What you believe about people tends to be true. If you give a dog a bad name, you might as well hang him, right? That's a very apt saying in this case. Click that Bulldog Mindset. It's in the cards. There's a Bulldog Mindset quiz. I want you to take that quiz, and I want to help you to develop these skills. These are the kind of things that I talk about in the Bulldog Mindset membership. Because once you have a stoic philosophy on life, I just need to figure out, in this given moment, what is my best course of action